What do you think American Muslims make of the US response to what's happened over the last 24 hours?
Oh, I think they're very depressed. It only aggravates the issues that American Muslims and actually anybody who's interested in social justice is dealing with. Since the election, and actually during the election, prior to the election, hate crimes had increased in this country because Donald Trump did not show leadership in bringing people together, and actually created rifts and chasms between groups of people. And so now there's another area, chasm, where people are going to be divided. I think there was a reason that previous presidents did not recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. They were definitely pro-Israeli, but they realized that this move was going to create problems both domestically in the region, as we've seen in terms of the uptick in violence. About 60 people have been killed since Monday, and actually throughout the world with our allies. So yeah, we're very, very concerned, and it's very depressing, this move.
And do you think that the move of the embassy to Jerusalem really is going to exacerbate that sense of US religious division?
Oh, definitely. And, you know, the thing is that it's such a hypocritical move. I was listening to Jared Kushner's speech in Jerusalem, and I took some notes. And it's so interesting because he said both Israel and the U.S. believe in freedom. Well, let's just look at Israel alone. There are 60 laws that discriminate against Israeli citizens. We're not talking about the occupied territories. There are 60 laws in Israel that discriminate against Israeli citizens who are not Jewish. It says that, he said Israel and the U.S. believes in human rights. Well, there's a constant violation of human rights inside Israel and in the occupied territories. He said, democracy is worth defending. Democracy for who? Yes, Israel has democracy for Jews alone. If you are not Jewish inside Israel, you cannot live in certain areas, you cannot go to certain schools, you cannot get certain jobs. And forget about the people in the occupied territories who don't even have access to the criminal justice system, the civil criminal justice system. They don't have access to the court system. They're under military law. And let's not forget that Jerusalem is in the occupied territories. So saying that Jerusalem is part of Israel and that the Israeli embassy belongs in Jerusalem is a violation of the Fourth Geneva Convention. It's a violation of international law. And I think that, all of this is just being pushed under the rug. And people are not reminding themselves that almost every country in the world, except for 2 South American countries who have other reasons for not coming out against Israel, have condemned this move. So this is an outlier move. It certainly does not show U.S. leadership. I think it shows Trump's foolhardiness, and certainly all Israelis do not support this move either. There are many Israelis who feel that this was a very, very bad move.
Where is the room now for conciliation and for negotiation after the events of the last 24 hours?
I mean, I can't even begin to answer that question. I think the only room for conciliation is if Israel has a proper election where they elect leaders that believe in social justice, that believe in democracy, that believe in religious freedom. Again, let's go to Jared Kushner's speech. I wrote this down. He said, Israel is the only land in the Middle East in which Jews, Muslims, and Christians can worship freely according to their beliefs. Well, Jews cannot worship freely in Israel. The Jews cannot worship freely in Israel because if you're not an Orthodox Jew, you have many, many restrictions on you. Your marriage is not recognized if it is not a marriage done with, under the leadership or the sort of rabbinical rabbis that belong to the Orthodox Jewish sect. If you're Muslim, you can't go to the Al-Aqsa Mosque if you're if you're male under the age of 50. If you're Christian, now we're talking about Israeli Christians. We're not talking about the occupied territories. Israeli Christians do not have access to the Holy Sepulchre site because it's closed off to them in terms of quota numbers and things like that. And certainly in Jerusalem, Christians in Jerusalem do not have access to those sites. So, yes, people, tourists can go to those sites, but the people who have been there since the time of Jesus, the very Christians who actually kept Christianity alive, are restricted from going to their own churches in Jerusalem.
Ilhan Cagrı,
So
live in Washington.
Where is their hope?
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Ilhan Cagrı in Washington.